post canning chat. And here I am. Okay, so did I have a fail? This jar gave me fits. So I got 7 quarts, and the recipe from the National Home Food Preservation and as well as the book I was following calls for 1/4 of an inch of headspace. On all of them, I did a 1/2 inch, and some stayed pretty close. Some went down to 1 inch. It's the ball. It depends on the pulp and as it cooks down. It also, I mean, I had no siphoning because it's water bathing, but this jar did not seal. And maybe if I'd have waited a little bit longer, but I don't like to leave my stuff sit on the counter for 12 hours. When I know it's not going to seal and I can't pick it up by the lid, I put it in the fridge and I go, okay, is there a recipe I can use use this for, or what? This was the only jar that I did 1/4 of an inch of headspace. Trusting, okay? It's not 1/4 of an inch now, but that's what I did in the beginning for this tomato vegetable juice. And it did not seal. And when the lid, it wasn't even trying to seal. I took the lid off and it was still 1/4 of an inch, but tomatoes, especially anything pulpy, will expand. And so maybe I should have diluted it a little bit more, but I want this more of a concentrate. You do have to add water to this, which is perfect for me, because if I want it for a soup base, I want it a little bit more dense and condensed than if I just use it to drink. Does that make sense? So what I decided to do, and I was going to bring you along, but literally all I did was I took the juice, poured it out, washed the jar and the lid, okay? And I used the same lid. I didn't feel like it was the lid's fault. So I washed the jar and the lid, heated them back up. I heated the juice back up, but I only filled it to a little below 1/2 inch, almost 1 inch of headspace. And it was, I mean, when I took it out of the counter and I re-water bathed it, heated it up, heated the jar up, did everything the same, water bathed it for 40 minutes, just like you're supposed to for a quart. And literally when I took it out of the counter with the ring on, you couldn't see any of this headspace. And it's come down a little bit, but guess what? And it took forever, but it did seal. So I have a nice sealed jar of tomato juice. The rest of them all sealed perfectly, and that was with the 1/2 inch. So I put a note in my canning book to keep it at 1/2 inch. So I do that quite typically. If I have something like this happen, I go ahead and I prevent the next fail by leaving myself a note, or whoever might end up with a canning book, that keep it at 1/2 inch of headspace, even though it calls for 1/4 of an inch. So super excited. I had this juice because there was a little less than a pint as well. And I added, it was about that much shy of a pint. I added that much water to it, and maybe even a little bit more water to it. And I actually shared some of it with one of my coworkers. She really liked it. It's got a little bit of back heat, but not enough to be too spicy. So it's really got that delicious V8 flavor that I like. And so I'm getting ready to label these. The jars are all washed and dried. I'm going to label these and get these out in my storage area, and I will have tomato juice. I still have more tomatoes coming on, some on the counter. I'm telling you, I'm going to look and see if there's a recipe for stewed tomatoes with zucchini, because I believe, I mean, I've done it in the past. I want to say that there is, I want to look for an approved recipe for that, because zucchini is also coming on in the garden. So no fail this time. We got a complete success. So know that it won't be overcooked. Tomatoes are the one fruit that the longer you cook it, the better it is for you. So it's not going to change anything by water bathing it that second time. In fact, this will be the next jar that I open, only because I want to see if it does change the flavor, since I just had fresh juice that I made, right? And I go through about 7 quarts a year for myself. between recipes and just drinking tomato juice. I had 1 jar left from last year, so perfect. And I did Bloody Mary mix last year. I have a couple jars of that left, I think 3, maybe 4. So I'll be doing another batch of that. If you guys would like to come along for that, if I've got enough tomatoes and you want to see how to make home canned Bloody Mary mix, it's delicious. And it is spicy, but it's so good. And it's so worth the effort to have that on the shelf. And I have it for breakfast quite often. Hard-boiled egg and a little Bloody Mary mix, or an avocado and you know, a stalk of celery or some pickled vegetables. I don't have to have it with vodka, just virgin. Anyway, so, and if you'd like to see some recipes that I use my tomato juice and or my Bloody Mary mix in, leave me a comment in the comment section and I will bring you along for that. So today obviously was brought to you by 4 jars. That's the canning lids I'm using exclusively, 4 jars. And that's why I wanted to make sure it wasn't the lid. I inspected the rim of the jar. Nothing was going on. So I really felt like it was just too full, and it must have siphoned a little bit under there. And because I did see some product. And so it didn't go into the water though. It was just enough to not let it seal. Does that make sense? Okay. Anyway, or not enough space to cause a suction, because you need that head space to cause that suction to suck that lid down and seal it. So these are going to go on the shelf, and we're going to be fine with tomato juice. I'm super excited. If I didn't even can another tomato product, I'd be very excited that I got this on the shelf. So, all right, guys, we're going to have another canning recipe coming up very, very soon. Let me know in the comment section what you'd like to see, and if you've ever canned tomato juice or a vegetable blend, because the National Home Food Preservation website says 22 pounds of tomatoes to 3 cups of other vegetables. It does not specify that you have to make it carrots and bell pepper, or onion or celery or any of that. I chose celery, onion, and hatch chilies. Next time if I do it, maybe I'll do it with the sweet carrots and celery and bell pepper. But this time, that's what I did, and I really, really like it. So, all right, I can't wait to see you next time for another delicious recipe. I hope if you like this video, or you like these kind of videos, canning and preserving, you'll give me a thumbs up, share this on your social media, and subscribe. Subscribe to my channel, and as always, guys, bye!